Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Happy Death Day. Now, when I first saw the trailer for this, I'm like, okay, it's Groundhog Day with a slasher twist. And then I saw it's Blumhouse, and I'm like, you know what? If they believe in this film, I'm going to believe in this film too. So I was pretty excited to go out and see this film, and I was pleasantly surprised that this turned out to be a fun little film. Now, is this going to be one of the greatest horror films of the new century or the past decade or past couple of years? No. But this was a lot of fun, and to be perfectly honest, it was a lot funnier than it was probably scary, which, warning you going in, don't think that this is like some really intense slasher film. This honestly feels kind of more like a black comedy throughout most of it than an actual horror film. And this is actually PG-13, which I found out very quickly by going to the theater on Friday and being surrounded by a bunch of little 13-year-olds who were so obnoxious, who wouldn't shut up whenever there was parts where they're actually talking about emotions and character moments because, oh my god, they're not being scary, so I'm not going to pay attention. And it's just like, pay attention! And I'm done on my little rant about how obnoxious my actual experience was at the theater seeing this film, and now time to talk about the film. Now, Christopher Landon directed this film, and I think he does a very good job of balancing, going between these different, reliving these same moments over and over again, and not staying on something too long or focusing on something for too long, but also bringing in some fun actual directing decisions and storytelling and montage usage throughout this film to make this fun and actually use it for some great gags, especially when she's trying to look at different culprits that potentially are the ones killing her. There's a sequence towards the middle of the film that was actually fantastic and very funny that I really enjoyed. Now, this moved very quickly. You never felt like you were bored just sitting around, and even the character moments I thought were really well done and actually started really fleshing out things, and I wasn't bored by them, despite 99% of my theater were and chatting through them, but I thought that it did a really good job of balancing those things. Now, the tone. At moments towards the beginning of the film, I felt like it was really trying to be an actual slasher film too much, but at some point it really hit its stride of realizing this is a fun time, and really had fun with it. It was like winking at the camera kind of fun. And I thought that's when the film really thrived. And honestly, I really did care about this main character, Tree, and really started feeling for her dilemma and what she was trying to do and trying to figure out. Because towards the beginning of the film, she was a bitch. She really was. She was a bitch. And towards the end of this film, it's like I actually liked her and cared about her. And I'll talk a little bit about more of that later, but our cinematographer, Toby Oliver, did a really great job and using different kinds of camera angles to make this not feel like I'm just watching point and shoot. There's a lot of use of Dutch angles that were really creepy, and being able to cut the different shots together for actual great impact, and the editing was really well done in this film as well. And because the thing is, there's action-y kind of moments, and I thought they were really well shot, and there's actually a few shots in here that I thought were really cool, and how it was framed. And I know they give this away in the trailer, but just the shot of like a candle, birthday candle, dropping on some gasoline and lighting up, and I'm like, that's a really cool shot, and it kind of encompasses the kind of story this film is trying to tell, and I thought that was really well done. This was written by Scott Lobdell, and in terms of the writing, I thought he did a very nice job of shaking things up. Now, there are some twists throughout this film, as you would expect from a Blumhouse film, and thriller, horror, whatever you want to call this film, and some of them worked, some of them didn't work, but how it winds up ending I thought was satisfying to me, and I think that it had a lot to say. And in terms of the characters, the only real character that is really turns out to be fleshed out is our main character, Tree. Everyone else even Carter, the really nice guy, he does show some moments, but he's not a really well fleshed out character, but he's still a nice guy and you wind up caring about him. But everyone else winds up really kind of being some kind of stereotype. And in terms of how deep this film goes, it really doesn't go super deep in terms of themes, except it's like trying to be a good person is really the main theme of this film, and it's not super deep, it's not super complicated, but I thought it does a decent job of showing what not to do. But I also thought it had a lot of fun with some tropes and some stereotypes that it kind of turned on its head and actually laughed at, to be perfectly honest. And this film, the dialogue, some of it feels a lot of staged and stereotypical, but it winds up being really funny and clever in moments, and I really appreciated it. Now, the composer, Bear McCreary, makes very good atmospheric moments in terms of the music in this film, and I thought it was a really well done horror movie kind of soundtrack, and some of the music choices, to be perfectly honest, I thought were really well done, especially one song during a montage towards the middle of the film that I mentioned before. I thought it was really funny. It was perfect music choices, but the soundtrack of this film is pretty creepy and really well done by Bear McCreary. Now, the only actor I'm really going to talk about in this film, because a lot of them do feel a little stilted and stereotypical, but Jessica Rothe, who stars as Tree, the main character here, this is a star-creating performance. She did such an amazing job. I want to see her in more things. I looked her up. She had a small role in La La Land, but she really brings it in this film, and I thought she was fantastic. I can't wait to see her in more films, and I'm actually a big fan of hers now because she's very charismatic. She plays off the bitchy kind of moments very well, but then she really makes you feel for her, where she has the confidence and has a lot of swagger about her and a lot of charm and humor. I thought she did a really good job. Now, my final thoughts, my it factor of this film, I thought there's tons of genre fun and a few scares plopped on the shoulders of one young woman who really makes a star-studded performance in this film, Jessica Rothe. I'm going to give Happy Death Day a B.